Hey guys, Rollia or Taylor here, and I'm back with a brand new Division video, and this is actually going to be my first weapon review on this channel. The weapon review is going to be on the marksman rifle, the M700 Carbon. This is one of the three variants that came in the new 1.5 patch, the other two being the M700 Tactical and the plain model 700 or Marksman 700. The difference is actually minimal between the Carbon and the Tactical, but the standard M700 does have a faster reload speed at 833 milliseconds compared to the others that have a 1.9 second reload time. That's almost 1 second difference, but the M700 does have a slower RPM standing at 53 compared to the Carbon and the Tactical variant that stands at 54 rounds per minute. So there really isn't much difference between the three, but definitely lean towards the Tactical or the Carbon, even if it is just for aesthetics alone. I mean, I'm a guy that loves a weapon that looks good. I mean, any game, I usually just brush statistics aside and go for aesthetics, which is a very bad move, and nobody should follow my way of playing whatsoever. I'm pretty terrible at that. It's the same with BF1. If the gun looks good, I usually go for it over a more powerful, lesser recoil weapon. So yeah, never ever follow my rule per se. So yeah, like I said, there really isn't much difference between the three. I have the Carbon, that's the first one that dropped for me, so that's the one we're using in this video. So another obvious weapon to compare the M700 to would be the M44. They're both bolt action and they're both marksman rifles. The M700 does actually have a slower RPM compared to the custom M44, but it does have a shorter optimal distance, and the M700 does have a bigger standard magazine by 2. The reload speed is almost identical, so you're not really missing much there. The M700 does roll with a unique talent called Elevated. This talent works if you are 1.2 meters above your target, so whether you're on a truck, on a car, on a bus stop, something like that, as long as you are higher than the target by 1.2 meters, the weapon will deal 10% more damage. So it's not a bad talent at all. I mean, obviously, you could roll like the god rolls of Brutal, Deadly, and something else, but I think Elevated isn't a bad talent to have. I mean, especially if you were stuck, if you got the drop and say it had 2 really bad talents and then Elevated, you don't have to get rid of it. You could just roll off one of the bad talents, make use of one of the lesser bad talents, and you've still got yourself a very nice marksman rifle. On my M700 Carbon, I was very lucky for it to roll or drop with Deadly. I did have to roll off another talent, and I managed to get Swift, which actually got a really good buff in 1.5. It used to decrease reload time by 15%, it now decreases reload time by a whopping 25%. So that actually shaves it down from almost 2 seconds to 1.5 second reload time on the M700. It sounds very minimal in reload time, but it is noticeable. I mean, before I rolled this gun whatsoever, I literally, as soon as it dropped, I put it on, I was like, oh wow, this is a good gun. As soon as I rolled Swift on it, I realized how much that reload time is important in this game. Obviously, assault rifles, SMGs, you're not really going to notice it much, but these bolt action rifles and some of the LMGs, it is a big factor to the gun. You can get the enemy down quicker. You won't have to sit behind cover as long as you would if you didn't have Swift. So definitely worth checking out Swift. You might have come across it when you've been re-rolling a weapon and thought, well, that's no use to me. But definitely have a look at it on the marksman rifles or some of the LMGs. I mean, decreasing a reload time by 25% is actually a big deal. It's definitely something I'm happy with, and I think it deserved the buff. So yeah, like I said, my Carbon did have almost a 2 second reload speed. It now has a 1.5 second reload speed, and depending on how you roll the M700, you can decrease the reload time even more via some of the mods. So I do believe mine is actually sitting at just over 1 second reload speed now on a bolt action rifle. That is a very good, a very good trade-off to some of the other things that might bring it down a little bit. So, my opinion, is the M700 a good weapon? As you can see some of the gameplay, it brings down enemies almost within one shot, especially just the red bar ones. If you get that crit damage where you are 1.2 meters above the enemy, you're going to bring them down in one shot. It can deal, and towards the 400k damage per bullet. Is a very, very good gun for that. When you're going against these named enemies or the yellow bars, remember I will just say this is all in World Tier 5. If you're going against the yellows or the lesser bright yellow bars, you'll notice you're taking chunk after chunk. Sometimes with an assault rifle or an SMG, you've got to rinse a couple of magazines into it. With the M700, some good headshots, some good weak spots, you're good to go. I mean, I've been noticing with an assault rifle, if you're aiming for a gas tank on the back of a cleaner, you've got to hit that gas tank repeatedly for, a good, let's say, 15-20 bullets. With the M700, if you hit that gas tank, it's already lit up. I mean, I was doing one of the named bosses, as you can see on the screen now, and I literally caught him with one bullet, and it was lit up already, so that's another good point to take out of this gun. If you're aiming for weak spots, you're going to bring enemies down a lot quicker. So like I said, the M700 overall might have a slow rounds per minute. It might not be everyone's gun, comparing it to the, let's say, M1A, or how ridiculous you could get the custom M44. But I think the M700 looks very good. It packs a reasonable punch, and depending on how you mod it, it can be a very nice weapon to use, especially if you're sitting at the back of your group, the rest running gun. You can just pick off enemies, you're dealing good chunks of damage, and then the rest of your group can finish them off. I wouldn't pick up this gun and, discard it straight away. I'd definitely have a look at it if I was you. If you're after a different playstyle or want to try something new, the M700 Carbon or the M700 Tactical is for you. You can mod every slot on this gun, so like I said, depending how you mod it, if you take your time with modding it, it's going to be a very viable marksman rifle for endgame, for PvE. I've not tried it PvP because I'm not a big PvP player, but that could be something for somebody else to look at maybe. But yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this weapon review. I've never done one, I don't really watch them, so I'm not 100% sure how to do them. But I hope this was good enough for you. I hope you learned something from this weapon review today. If you want more videos like this, then simply let me know in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe. And apart from that, thank you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.